Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to this video about Ready or Not. So what I'm going to do here is give you a quick tutorial on how to play the game, but also a few good tips as well. And the first one is actually how to move faster. So you might have noticed that in Ready or Not, this is as quick as you can go. So this is your, basically this is your normal speed. You do have a walk-in speed as well, which is even slower. And I expect a lot of people who play modern day games are going to be very frustrated by how slow all of this is. Especially in this game, it's made deliberately so that the hostiles can run away from you, the civilians can run away as well, but you yourself are far slower. And that is by design. However, if you go into the options and then go to controls, you'll notice in movement you have a walk button, which of course makes you walk slower than your normal speed. So if you clear that, and then go to interactions and actually go down to hold low ready, change that from delete to shift or whatever of course you want to do. But I'm going to move that to the shift key, so it's basically going to be my sprint button. You'll notice we have our normal walking speed and then we actually have a faster speed now by holding shift because he actually puts the weapon down. Now of course you don't want to do this in a hostile environment to actually put your weapon down. But if you're trying to catch up with your squad mates or stuff like that, this is a good way to just move around the map a little bit quicker. So it's not quite a sprint, but it's a little bit closer to it than, of course, the walk button. Now another tip is about how the weapons work, because there might be instances where you're thinking, wait, this shouldn't be doing this, or you're maybe doing some siege style pixel peeking and it's just not working. And that's because the weapons use real proper simulated physics rather than what you see in Siege or Call of Duty. So for instance, I just aimed at the very center of this target, but my bullet landed low. This is because my gun is actually correct. So if I aim really close here at this bit of red as it pokes out on, I fire off a shot, you'll see that my actual round is a good inch lower. That's because it's the difference between the sight height and the barrel height. So the actual bullet comes out of the barrel, whereas in Call of Duty or Rainbow Six Siege, the actual bullet comes out of your eyes. Whereas with this, of course, the bullet actually comes out of the barrel of the gun. So if you're aiming just above something and you fire, you'll actually hit the thing just below it. So this is just to avoid any odd frustrations you don't expect when you're coming from something like Siege or Call of Duty to play this game. Now let's get on to the proper basics. So if you boot this game up for the very first time, you've got the main menu here, which has the play, find a session, options, or report a bug. So of course, find a session is finding a public game to join or a friends game. And of course on play, you can either do single player, public lobby, or friends only. So single player is the only one with AI. If you do a public lobby, of course other people can join you, anyone who wants to. And of course friends only is just for your friends. But remember that you'll have no AI companions. So if it's just you and one of your buddies, there's no AI to back you up. But then you'll load into a social area, which is where you and your squad will show up. To the right hand side, you will have some lockers where you can go and customize yourself and your AI with all the different weapons and gadgets and stuff that is available. And of course in here you can customize your AI. So you've got Alpha and Beta, who are blue team, and then you've got Charlie and Delta, who are red team. You can actually split them off in different commands once we don't actually go in. But if you customize a weapon, that weapon, if it's then used by the AI, will also be customized. So if you're looking to just customize up different weapons for your squad, maybe you want to have each one have a different gun, you have to equip the gun and then customize it and then go and give the AI it. But otherwise it's pretty simple. But in here you cannot customize weapons. This is where you just give different loadout and then you have to go out. Now if you're having some difficulty issues, you can go down to the gear and you can actually put your gear on heavy armor. You're normally in light armor, so I do recommend actually upgrading to heavy for you and your squad mates, and give your squad mates ballistic face masks as well. So that might help if you're just having a bit of issue with difficulty right off the bat. That'll help. Although I like using the anti-flashbang goggles myself, but completely up to you what you want to use. Then over here you've got the bench. This allows you to customize the weapon you are holding. So you just simply press F, you'll drop it down and then you can customize it. The actual optic I like so far is the SRS, this bottom one. It has a white picture, but of course this game is early access, so a lot of stuff will change. But you can do muzzles, under barrel and over barrel attachments as well to customize your weapon to your heart's content. and you end up with a perfect gun. Of course, if you want to customize your sidearm, simply switch to it and then press F to drop it on the table as well to customize away. And again, you can customize the optics, muzzle, underbarrel, and skins. And then the last thing that's in this room is a mirror, which allows you to customize your character and put different tactical gear on. For the moment, it's very simple. You simply have some characters you can choose from, and you have some uniforms as well. And there won't ever be stuff like battle passes, and probably won't even be cosmetic bundles or stuff you can buy. And of course, it's always going to be very tactical and very realistic looking stuff as well. Now outside of that room is the ready room, where of course you spawn, and that's where you can start missions. But we're going to go downstairs and take a right to the shooting range. This is where of course we can try out our newly customized guns, and we can even change our loadout down here as well if we want to. And personally, whenever I'm playing simulation games like this, especially when we're dealing with potentially non-combatants in these scenarios, I always have my gun on single shot. And you know, most of the time in this game, one shot will bring down an enemy. So I usually have it on single shot, but of course you can go full auto as well. But the reason I bring this up is because the weapons fire select does actually save between loading screens. So if you're at the end of a mission and you're on single shot, but then load up a new game, you will also be on single shot. So always check that you are in the correct mode when you load into a new scenario, because of course you might press that trigger expecting a hail of bullets to come out, and only one comes out and you might then get shot because you don't expect that. Now you also notice there's no HUD element actually showing you how much ammunition you have. If you press R, you will simply swap a new magazine in, but you also hang on to that previous magazine. If you want to see how your ammo is doing, you have to hold R. This will allow you to see how many magazines you have. So for instance, here we have 4 magazines in total, and you can see that one is partially empty. So it's very important to be wary of how much ammunition you have. Of course, you can't go nuts and just be spraying and praying or pre-firing anything. You're going to have to be very careful with how much rounds you're actually firing off, and trying to be aware of how many rounds you've got left. And also there is bullet penetration for you and the enemies. So if you want to, you can try and light up an enemy through a wall or through a door, and that can be successful, but the enemy will also do that as well. So be very wary of that. Now if we leave the shooting range and we actually turn to our left, you'll notice that we have a civilian here in this little red room, where we can actually go in and practice actually telling a civilian to get down. And this is all your less than lethal training. So you can actually order them to get down with the action button.
Hands up! The gun's down, I don't have any more.
And if they comply, you can then walk up behind them and arrest them. And if this was an actual mission you're on, you have to also press the action key once you're done again to report to your commanders that you have got this person in custody. But then once we're done with this guy, we can head back out and we can go back to the bottom of the stairs, but this time we're going to turn left, which will take us into basically a kill house where we can shoot at different targets and practice on doors. Now, thankfully none of these targets will shoot back. There's no kind of time elements here or anything like that, or any kind of scoring. Maybe there will be in the future, but for the moment it's just very, very basic. But the interaction menus on the doors here are not basic. So you've got the central one, which is just simply open a door. You've got the one to the handle, which is for peeking the door. You've got the one lower down, which is for kicking. The one below that is actually for peeking with your gadget, which allows you to actually look through and check for traps and to see if there's any bad guys there. Then you also have the ability to actually put like explosives on the door as well. And if you want to, you can kick the door. You can kick it twice to open it. That will even work on a locked door, or you can pick a door to get in if it's locked as well. So you've got the full open option as well, which just completely opens the door for you fully. Or you can do the peek version, which will allow you to actually open it up slowly. And of course, this is a kill house. There is targets if you want to practice. But this is just a good place to actually play around with the doors. But here we are, we're actually picking a lock, and then we're going to peek this. Now your body will also open doors. So if I actually push myself up against an open door like this that I've peeked, it will open just based on the fact that I'm hitting it with my body. So that's pretty damn cool. And of course, it's up to you which way you want to open a door and engage the enemy. And of course, you've got lean mechanics, so you can do all that. And that's pretty much it. So that's how you control your character, do your loadouts and all that. So what we'll do is we'll go back upstairs to the ready room and we'll actually load up a mission, and I'll show you how you control the AI. So yeah, up here in the ready room, you'll you'll see a big map. And if you go up to this desk, you can actually pick a location on the map. There's 6 maps total so far, and there's a couple that are above that are classified, so hopefully we'll get them in the future. But for instance, we'll go to the hotel here, and it'll allow us to pick that mission and then pick what we want to do in that mission. Every mission is a little bit different from what's available to actually try. So we could say go back to another one, and we'll try, for instance, we've got the gas station, and it has a bunch of missions available at the gas station that we can actually run on, and completely different scenarios basically. And each one as well also has a bit of a difficulty rating. But we'll take a look at this car dealership over here. We can see that it's got a single available objective. So we can click on that, and that basically activates it. Then we've got this box of red that we can stand in, which means that we're readied up. And if all your squad mates get into this box, the countdown will go down, and then it'll start loading up into the mission. And that's how you start a mission in this game. And of course, you get a nice little loading screen with your dudes looking absolutely fabulous. And then you also get an internal view inside kind of the SWAT van as they're on their way to their mission with your entire squad, which also looks really freaking cool too. But then once you load in, that is you on the mission in the scenario. And of course, you can go and have a lot of fun playing this game, and take your time is my kind of recommendation. Now, mouse button 3 will switch on your tactical light or lasers. You can also bring night vision goggles as well, but I love the actual lights on the guns. I think it brings a nice bit of atmosphere. But let's talk about the AI. So first of all, you can tell your entire actual team to do stuff, or you can scroll up or down to actually switch which members you're actually using. So red is a pair of dudes, and then blue is another pair of dudes. So basically splitting your 4-man team into 2-man teams, so you can do individually different stuff. So gold is the entire team if you want to give them a command, but otherwise you can switch that to red or blue. You can even synchronize stuff if you want to get advanced like that, but right now I think, yeah, basically you just want to be doing stuff a little bit at a time. Also, if you customize your AI's gear so that they have lights as well, when you switch your light on, they'll switch theirs on. If you switch it off, they'll switch theirs off, which just looks really freaking cool. Also, the AI is good. This is the old school version of stuff like Rainbow Six games where your AI are crack, actual members of counter-terrorism groups or stuff like that, where they are highly trained, which means they are really freaking good. So if you want to, you can just order them around and they will do everything really, really well. You can even have them arrest suspects and stuff simply by looking at the suspect and then hitting, for default, the Z key, and then the AI will go up and actually arrest that suspect, which just means you can end up doing almost nothing if you want to. Now, sweeping for traps is very important in this game. You can get one shot by a single trap, and checking for traps can get quite tedious because you have to go up to a door, you have to use the mirror gadget to then look and see if there is any traps on the other side. But you can actually have your AI do this, so just make sure that at least one of them has this gadget on them, and you can actually order them to actually take a look, and they will tell you. Their first thing that they tell you is whether the door is trapped, and then the second thing they'll tell you is if they see any hostiles on the other side. So this is a really good way to do it without you actually having to bother checking every single door yourself.
It's fine. No traps here. Civilian inside.
You can also use the peek function to open it a crack and then have a look down to see if there's any tripwires down below. But like I say, it's really good to actually just have your AI check for you. And of course, Ready or Not is a very slow tactical game. There's never ever going to be a sprint button in this game, and it is never going to be a fast-paced game. There is going to be multiplayer, or at least I've played an early version of that last year, so I assume that it will show up at some point in the early access. But right now it is single player and cooperative. And yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. It is so much fun, and it's just like the classic games that we used to have, like the old school Rainbow games, old school Ghost Recon games from way back in the day, and also, of course, games like SWAT and stuff like that. It is a lot of fun, and I am just absolutely loving it. So now guys, that is a quick tutorial on Ready or Not, and hopefully you've learned something useful, and yeah, enjoy this brand new game that is now out on early access, and we'll see how development goes in the future.